welcome back. It's the KNL Sports Huddle. Cage Kiplinger, Logan Hubert, as always. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone as we get ready for a week is one of the best weeks in the whole year. We get football from Thursday to Monday. We get turkey, however many Thanksgivings that you go to over this weekend, and we get that 4-day weekend that is always good for anyone who gets Black Friday off. This is a consistent holiday. How are we doing today, Logan?
Doing great, and you took the words right out of my mouth. It's a fantastic week. We got basketball games on all day, pretty much every day this week. You could say what you want about what this players tournament or whatever they call it is. It's got its flaws, but I mean we have fun games all day, so it still definitely has its positives as well. But yeah, fantastic week and ready to get talking about it.
Yep, and we've got a nice little structure that we've revamped this podcast to give these segments some names and something you guys can expect to see from here on out, at least through football season before we restructure things again. But Logan, let's get things started with our weekly Whiplash.
Okay, very quickly, in the NBA, big news is that Chris Paul, who, if you didn't know, is on the Clippers at this moment, is retiring after this season. So, yes, he's begun his farewell tour. Excellent career. He's kind of been memed more recently now that later in his career with, of course, he's probably now most famous for his cut the lead to 42 meme. But it shouldn't take away from how great he was during his long peak. Like he was never like the greatest in the league, but he was so consistent for so long. Really one of the best point guards of all time, and definitely one of the best players in NBA history to never win a ring. No doubt about that. In baseball news, the Mets traded Brandon Nimmo for Rangers' second baseman Marcus Semien. And the other headline, probably there will be more to this story in the future, but the OHSAA, I assume that's Ohio, right? Okay, yeah. They voted to allow not college athletes, but high school athletes to profit off of NIL. I don't really have a take that I could spiel out just really quickly, but other than it's a terrible idea.
Terrible idea. Yeah, it was prompted by a lawsuit. Family of the Huber Heights High School junior and Ohio State commit, actually, Jameer Brown, claims he was being kept from making money by selling his NIL rights to companies and sponsors. The change is going to basically mean students are going to be paid for appearances, licensing, social media content, endorsements, and I'm total agreement with you. I was on board with college athletes getting this. But you start dipping into high school, like what are we doing?
They're not even legal adults. They're not even
exactly. I think about the guys that I grew up with in high school who played sports alongside me. I'm like, to imagine any of those guys getting money for their
from your local gas station, like just for this speaks for any small high school. Are like local gas stations gonna use local athletes to like promote their store and pay them? Yeah,
it's a tough look. Something I didn't expect to see this soon. Right after, I mean, it's only been a few years with the college ranks having this implemented, but man, I mean, NCAA can't even wrangle and be able to make it okay in college because the money is just crazy in college with the millions of dollars. Imagine what the high school it's going to be like. It's going to be so uncontrolled.
Well, okay, and then here's the absolute dark side of this is predictably, I mean, you look at the NIL rankings and stuff, the ones who are making the most are either the dominant athletes or the ones who are like related to famous people. Other is the like good-looking female athletes. They don't even have to be good. Like they're getting sponsors. Are there gonna be creeps like digging into that in high school and stuff now? I mean, it's just there's way too many red flags with this. I've hard time seeing any positives to this at all. To be honest, it's
Yeah, and with nepotism so prevalent in high school, it's just gonna get the parents of these players. It's going to be create just a lot of drama, and I just don't see this ending very well. The baseball thing. This is the biggest. This is the first big move of the offseason. Brandon Nimmo being traded to the Rangers for Marcus Semien, and Semien getting added to the Mets. This means with that outfield spot, that void, they're going to be in the market for like Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger, to fill that void in the outfield. So Mets throwing money around. That contract for Simeon's pretty big. And then, yeah, Chris Paul. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion. Never got a ring, but he got really close with Phoenix. That was the closest he'll probably ever get. I don't see the Clippers doing anything this year. They
no,
always get hyped up, but
they're gonna give the Thunder a top 5 pick this year probably.
yeah. All right, so that was our weekly Whiplash. That'll be basically our Miss the Cut segment. We'll recap some headlines from around the world of sports. Let's move on to our NFL Spotlight. It's where we'll recap the previous week in the NFL by looking at what our game of the week, the stat that told the story, and our team or player on the rise. Logan, I'll let you take over for this game of the week. Our game of the week is the Eagles and the Cowboys. It was a fun one on Sunday. What did you think of that game?
Yeah, it was between this one and Colts Chiefs, and I thought this one had more memorable plays than the latter. So that's why we decided to take Eagles Cowboys. But yeah, Jalen Hurts has been pretty good and the Eagles, like during their peak lately, have been pretty good against the Cowboys. And whenever they took that 21-0 lead in the first half and going into halftime, I don't think many people expected Dallas to not only make it a close game but win. Yeah, the Eagles offense just completely shut down. They kind of looked like how they have been the past few weeks. The Cowboys defense had one of their better performances. I wouldn't give them all the credit though, because it looked like I think Philly's offense has major issues right now. But yeah, just incredible comeback by the Dallas offense. George Pickens, I mean, what a massive addition in the offseason for the Cowboys. I mean, the pair with CD once again struggled with drops against the Eagles. It's the second time this year, but Pickens was there to pick up the slack, and he torched the Eagles secondary. And hey, we'll see. I mean, Philadelphia has a commanding lead in the NFC East. We'll see if this sparks Dallas to go on a run to get the wild card. Like I've said in the past, I picked the Cowboys to win the NFC East, and that was just because I think that NFC East previous division winners thing is cursed. So you never know. But yeah, it was a fun NFC East game. We'll see if the Cowboys can ride that high because they play in just a couple more days.
Right. Yeah, this game was a tale of two halves. Cowboys were mistake ridden early in this one, and then the Eagles were mistake ridden late in this one. And what I thought was that Philly really just reverted back to the type of offense that has frustrated AJ Brown for most of his time as an Eagle, and what Eagles fans have been frustrated with for most of this season, especially with the new offensive coordinator. They went up 21-0, and they just coughed it up. But for Dak Prescott, this was a pretty big game for him, not only for the win, but he tops Romo's career franchise record for passing yards. What might be more impressive was that Prescott also broke a tie with Romo by leading his 25th winning drive when tied or trailing in the fourth quarter or overtime. So we knew Romo as this clutch performer, leading winning drives at end of games, and now to see Dak Prescott eclipse that is pretty cool for Cowboys fans, and just putting him in the record books with a lot of great Cowboys players. All right, our stat that told the story from week 12. I had to go with it. This is way back on Thursday Night Football. The 8 sacks by the Texans on Josh Allen. So Buffalo's Josh Allen was harassed by Houston's defense all night on Thursday Night Football. The 8 sacks were the most he's taken in his career, and he was hit 4 other times outside of those 8 sacks. Kalen Bullock forced 3 turnovers, his second interception sealing the Texans' 23-19 victory. There was a sack by Daniil Hunter that has gotten a lot of attention for him saving Josh Allen's knee, where he switched his grip up on Allen's legs. I think that was more just him getting a better leverage higher up on his legs. But it was still good to see that could have ended a lot. That could have ended a lot worse for Josh Allen in that situation. But this was my pick for them to cover the spread. Houston on Thursday Night Football. One of the only few that I got right from last week. But an impressive performance. That we know this Texans defense is really good, but for Buffalo to allow this to happen brings into question their O-line.
Yeah, another lackadaisical performance by Buffalo, especially after coming off a big win. So Texans defense has been fantastic all year. They've kept them in they've kept them in every game this year, even despite some horrid offensive performances they've had throughout the season. They've been in every game because their defense just doesn't give up many points or yards. So, and we saw them beat what we think's a good team. Starting to have questions about that now with Buffalo, but still a huge win for the Texans, and now they're right back in the AFC South race.
All right, our team or player that's on the rise. I think I've thought about Matt Stafford and the Rams, but I feel like they've been playing well all year. This is something that's a little more recent and abrupt, and that's the Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders winning his first career NFL start. He threw for 209 yards and a touchdown to help Cleveland to a 24-10 victory over the Raiders. Say what you want, you have to play your schedule, and they were able to take a win here on the road against the Raiders. And Raiders are a bad team, but it was still an impressive performance from Shedeur. This is the Browns' 42nd quarterback since the franchise's return in 1999, and he ended a 17-game losing streak by Cleveland QBs making their first start. He was quoted afterwards, a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't going to happen. So we'll see how much success this continues for him. But made a lot of good plays. There was one in particular where he escaped a blitz to find Isaiah Bond for a 52-yard pass to the 2-yard line. And so we'll see if this is able to continue. I mean, it's better than what they've had previously with Dylan Gabriel. So just a really impressive performance, and we'll see if this is able to continue into week 13 for him. What did you think of his game?
It was unbelievable. He threw probably the greatest screen pass I've ever seen in my life. Well, actually, no, he just threw the greatest touchdown pass I've ever seen in my life. Shedeur did all the work. Who cares who even scored who ran 59 yards? It was amazing. I think we should spend the whole entire hour-long segment on Shedeur Sanders because he's so interesting and the Browns are so interesting, and they beat a really good Las Vegas Raiders team.
It's a Pete Carroll team right there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad for Shedeur. He deserved that win, but the fact that these are leading stories amongst multiple media outlets, it's just ridiculous. I mean, come on. I mean, if he plays well this week, then I'm fully on board. But I mean, come on. I mean, let's credit him, but let's not give him too much credit because it was the Raiders on a team that's basically quit. And I correctly picked that game, not because of Shedeur. I just thought, Myles Garrett's just going to feast on this Raiders team, and sure enough, he did.
Well, he did. Myles Garrett, an incredible performance, kind of got overshadowed by Shedeur's, debut start.
Yeah, he broke his. I think he broke his own team records.
His own
sack total in a year.
Yep. Yeah, and he's going for that Michael Strahan single season record. So we'll see if that continues for him. But let's move on to our signature.
All because of Shedeur.
It was all Shedeur. Let's move on to our signature segment of our NFL season podcast. It's our picks against the spread, correctly noted as the spreadsheet. We're going to be looking at each game We got all 16 teams playing this week for Thanksgiving. And how did you do last week for you?
I was due for a bad week, so I went 6-8. I'm interested. I need to go back and check, but I would guarantee because so I'm at 90 and 88 overall right now. I would assume that like my 1 o'clock game picks are well below 500, but my evening game picks are
You
really.
make a comeback with those.
I do every week. Like even the weeks I have a winning record, I just gotta not do very well in the 1 o'clock. But for some reason, those evening games save me. And like once again, yeah, I went 3 for 4. So I don't know. Yeah, not a good week, but look, this will be a good bounce back.
Yeah, I knew after an 11-4 week that I was gonna follow it up with a piss poor week and going 5-9, still at 95-83 overall, 53% against the spread. But yeah, tough week. Really went out on a limb on some games that I think I thought about too much, and we'll see if I can just uh, wrangle it back up this week. We'll go game by game. We got obviously the Turkey Day, Black Friday, as well as the regular scheduled program on Sunday and Monday. But we'll have our locks of the week, our dirty dogs of the week, and our sidesteps or our stayaways of the week to point out for you guys. Let's start with Thursday, not Thursday night. We're going to start early on Thanksgiving. That's Packers at the Lions. So both teams coming off a win, but it took a little bit more for the Lions to get get things done for them. Going up against Jameis Winston and the full Jameis Winston experience. So I got burned last week. I think we both did. I think we both ended up picking the Lions last week, but it was a fluky game against the Giants, who pulled off a couple trick play touchdowns. It was just a weird game that went into overtime, but the Packers were more dominant, but that might have to do more with J.J. McCarthy's bad QB play that has become one of the worst starts ever by a QB to a quarterback's career. Since 2005, the public has faded the Lions against the spread 12 times on Thanksgiving. Detroit is 0-12 straight up in those games, 3-9 against the spread. But this one's sitting at 2.5 at home. I think that it's just baiting me to pick the Lions, and I'm going to go for it with this short spread.
So these two teams met in week 1, if you recall, at Lambeau, and the Packers dominated that game. Once again, the Packers pissed me off because I just don't know how they're going to play. You just never know. So I'm going to say, since they played really well last week, I'm going to say on a short week, it's going to benefit the Lions a little more. So I agree with you. As long as it's under 3, I kind of like. I like that a lot for the Lions. I like the Lions minus 2.5 at home. I mean, Green Bay's only covered the spread in 2 of their past 9 games, so statistically, they won't this week. So, yeah, I will take the Lions. Agree with you at minus 2.5. Next, we have 2 teams coming off big hard fought wins. The Chiefs at the Cowboys. This should be a great afternoon game.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs are, last I checked, just 3-point favorites. Yeah, with no hook there, it's just at minus 3. I'll take the push. I'll be happy to take the Chiefs at minus 3. Mentioned earlier, the Cowboys riding high probably after that Eagles win. Yeah, they're going to be riding way too high after this on such a short week. Also, in their last 14 Thanksgiving games, they are 3-11 against the spread. Not very good. And they've played some bad teams too. Some bad Giants, bad Commanders teams in that time period. So just I don't know. So it's weird. It's a weird game for the Cowboys. So that's why I like the Chiefs at minus 3.
Yeah. The line was 4.5. And then this dropped once the Cowboys won that game against Philly.
Which that goes completely opposite of my thinking.
Right. So definitely the money coming in on Dallas, but this might have just pretty much turned into a KC number. Dak hasn't been great against the spread on Thanksgiving. The Lions and the Cowboys actually haven't covered on the same day since 2004. So if we're going Lions, I got to go Chiefs on this game. Whenever Patrick Mahomes faces a team on short rest, regardless of whether he is too, the Chiefs are 19-3 straight up in those games. And right there at that key number of 3, I'll go ahead and take that with Kansas City. I'll be right there with you on that one. All right, the nightcapper for Thanksgiving, as we're, you know, full bellied, ready for a good old fashioned Bengals and Ravens matchup here. And the biggest story here is that Joe Burrow could be starting for Cincinnati for the first time since he uh, tore his foot up. And they are getting Jamar Chase back after his 1-game suspension last week. And this is at 7. If you're still seeing it at 7, this is -7 in favor of Baltimore. And to me, this is a number you give to the Ravens when this offense is hitting on all cylinders. And to me, there's still real problems with the Ravens offense, as evident by the game last week versus the Jets, when they, kept that one close and messed that one up for me in my spread pick. But the Bengals have showed us a little pride the last, couple times, with their defense. It's really been their offense that's kind of let them down. And now they could potentially be getting Burrow back and Chase back. I think this offense has a chance to at least keep up with the Ravens if they somehow start to hit this week. I'm going Cincinnati here at +7, and that's going to be my lock of the week.
I in agreement. I could also, with Burrow coming back, I could see this being like a fluky inspired Bengals defensive performance where they play good one week. I like the Ravens to win here because the Bengals are so far down the standings that they'll find a way to lose. But yeah, I agree that 7-point spread's too big for me in my opinion, especially if Burrow was playing. So yeah, give me the Bengals at +7. Okay, Black Friday. Bears at the Eagles. Last I checked, Eagles are favored by 7. That's weird because I assumed that Hurts and Barkley would both be out since they're playing the Bears, because the Bears have just been playing backup quarterbacks, and
Right.
so this is interesting. I'm surprised. Might want to keep an eye on that. You could see Jalen Hurts being on the injury report this week just because the Bears are on the schedule. But yeah, this is easy for me. But Eagles cover that -7. The Bears are just due for a bad performance, a bad loss, uh, especially against the Philly team at home, prime time, coming off just a horrible loss that's going to be stuck in
An
their mouth
embarrassing
for a while.
loss.
Embarrassing loss. Yeah, I mean the Bears' defense statistically still isn't very good. So
They're good
yeah,
at forcing turnovers, but teams move the ball up and down the field on them.
yes, yeah. So I like the Eagles at -7. The Bears can still make the playoffs here, but they're due for a loss, and I could see them losing big here.
Yeah, everyone's going to be pretty high on Chicago this week, and they're going to be beaten down and on the Eagles for their loss, so that embarrassing loss to Dallas. But I suspect a bounce back spot in this situation at home. Jalen Hurts is 30-4 straight up as a favorite. And I think this is just a situation where we might get to actually see what the Bears are made of, and it's not going to be as great as everyone thinks it is with the record that they're putting up on their sheet right now. So yeah, I'm in agreement again with you. -7 for Philly. This was at 7.5, so I'm glad it's dropped down just to be a bit of a safer pick, but I'm surprised it has dropped. We are on to our Sunday slate here now. The early window, 49ers at the Browns. This one's sitting at 5.5. It was 6.5 yesterday, and it has actually moved in favor of the Browns a point at 5.5. So let's be honest, Brock Purdy was awful on Monday Night Football against the Panthers defense that isn't bad, but this Cleveland defense is elite, and they're at home this week. I'm going to take the Browns at 5.5. As much as Sanders will probably have a letdown game after having having a pretty good first start to his NFL career. I think he'd have a better chance than, say, Dylan Gabriel in this situation to keep this game close. And as far as the 49ers defense, Carolina was able to move the ball up and down the field against that defense. It was more on Bryce Young's interceptions and Dave Canales all of a sudden switching up his aggressiveness, and that cost them that game. So I'm going to take the Browns here at home. Their defense just smothers teams.
First disagreement. I look at this as a Robert Saleh versus Shedeur Sanders in start number 2 in his career, and I see it's under a touchdown at -5.5. This could be an ugly game. Like you said, the Browns defense will probably make the 49ers offense in hell. But I do they do still have Christian McCaffrey, so they can lean on him. And yeah, I like the 49ers here at -5.5. Plus, Browns, bad team coming off a big win. That's the rule I always follow.
Okay.
When a bad team plays well in a week, always bet against them the next week. So that's what I'm going to do here. 49ers -5.5. Our first disagreement. Okay, our next 2 games to talk about are 2 AFC South matchups. First one, Jaguars at the Titans. Jaguars are 6.5-point favorites. The Titans are playing their, I believe, 4th consecutive home game. It's amazing. Like, I remember talking about this in the offseason. So there's 5 Sundays in November. They have 4 home games. They had 4 home games in a bye week. Like I don't know how the NFL just probably didn't pay too much attention to the Titans and didn't realize
Hey,
that
if
that
any
weird
team
quirk.
needed it, it's Tennessee.
Yeah. But you could argue, I mean, the Titans are bad, but they've taken advantage of that because they've covered in 3 straight games. Against, I mean, the Seahawks are a good team, and they were able to backdoor cover there. So, I mean, they're playing with more spirit than they had earlier in the year. Having said that, though, they are a bad team, and I think this is where they're not going to cover a 4th straight game.
Oh, I thought
I
you'd be on me with this one.
I know Jacksonville is the most inconsistent team, arguably probably in the league. So yes, this isn't one I like to do, but I could see Jaguars winning by as long as it's under a touchdown. I'm going to go with the Jaguars here. That's the safe pick.
I do not think I could pick or put any money on Trevor Lawrence the rest of this season. I am out on Trevor Lawrence. And I think Liam Cohen is too. He just, when they pan over to the sideline, he is just frustrated because Trevor Lawrence just does not, he doesn't learn from his mistakes. He just does the same thing over and over again. He played awful in that game. They won, but he played awful. And at 6.5, I'll take it. I'll you know, Tennessee's, like you said, they're playing with some spirit, but in division game on the road, Jaguars, even against the Titans, I should not be getting 6.5 in this. To me, it's also my sidestep of the week because, again, I wouldn't trust Titans to pull off 4 straight covers. But yeah, that would be my stay away for this week. But I'll take the Titans at 6.5. All right, this one's the better one of the 2 in the AFC South. Texans at the Colts. This one's sitting at 4.5 in favor of Indy. Texans, we know in this game that the best unit on the field will be the Texans defense. I think the Colts have been kind of been brought back down to earth after a really strong start to the season. But in my opinion, the pickups of having Sauce and Ward in that secondary, they did a lot of good things against Kansas City. I think really the loss to Kansas City was just bad play calling offensively towards the end of that game. Just basically helped KC get back into it and ultimately win that one. So at 4.5, I do like Indianapolis. I like Jonathan Taylor to have a really big game back home on that turf. Against this Texans defense. Maybe not as much in the passing game for Jones, but I think at 4.5, under a touchdown, I think I like Indy in this one.
This is the first home game for the Colts in about a month. And so Houston is coming off of a long break. They played on Thursday night last week. I think that advantage is canceled out by their good win against a good team. I think those two things cancel each other out, so due for a letdown. And yeah, I normally don't bet the Colts, but I actually really like them this week. I like the Colts at -4.5 because, like I said, they haven't played at home in a month. I think they're due for a good performance there. Texans are just due for a loss. I feel like at this point, I'm assuming CJ Stroud's playing.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't. But their offense has looked kind of. It hasn't really looked any different when
Honestly,
Davis
it's looked
this year.
better with Davis Mills at
Maybe you could
times,
argue.
but
You could argue it's looked a little better at times. Yeah. So I don't think him coming back is going to make much of a difference offensively for them. But yeah, you're right about the Colts defense. I mean, you just look at time of possession of that Chiefs game. That was, I mean, yeah, the Colts defense did everything they could to win that game. They just got gassed at the end because the Colts offense decided, oh, we'll just throw three incompletions each drive and burn no time, and then have our defense have Mahomes and company play our defense. So yeah, but yeah, they look good for the most part, and yeah, I like the Colts at -4.5. Okay, Dolphins Saints or Saints at Dolphins. Dolphins are home favorites at -5.5. Miami's coming off a bye. They've won 3 of their last 4. They've looked like a respectable team in these last 4 weeks, and I think that'll continue mostly due to the team because the team they're playing. Yeah, I think that was my best pick last week was taking the Falcons over the Saints because every indication was saying pick the Saints, but I'm just like, yeah, it just seemed like a Falcons win. And yeah, we saw the Saints are still terrible. You could argue now that the uh, Titans have been playing better recently that the Saints might be the worst team in the league. It's debatable. They'll face each other later in the year, so they'll get to battle it off to see who was worse. But yeah, a Dolphins at home under a touchdown. I like that -5.5 against a bad team. I could see guys like A Chain and Waddle having a big game.
yeah, yeah. Not going to spend too much time here. Dolphins 5.5. They wear their whites at home in that heat in Miami. The Saints will have to wear the black uniforms. They're going to be gassed by the end. So, yeah, I picked the Saints first time all year. Last week didn't work. Never doing it again. So yeah, give me the Dolphins at 5.5. I'll be on with that one. Falcons at the Jets. This one's sitting at 2.5 in favor of Atlanta after their win against the Saints last week. Should be Kirk Cousins again this week for the Falcons, and I do not like Cousins as a favorite on the road. Give me the Jets at +2.5. They were able to keep it close with the Ravens. Say what you want about the Ravens, but that was a gutsy performance by the Jets. And at home, I'd put money line on this one. I think the Falcons lose this in New York. I'll take the Jets here.
This is my do not bet game, or what are we calling it now?
Yeah, the
The
sidestep of the
sidestep
week.
stay away game. Yes, this is mine because yeah, like you said, the Jets played respectably last week. I don't know if I want them doing that again, but they're also facing a Falcons team where you don't really know who's going to show up. Um, so yeah, I would like this to go to 3, and then I'd
Mm-hmm.
be more confident in the Jets. But I'm still going to take the Jets at +2.5. Like I said, this is my stay away game. But yeah, I just don't like either of these teams. But the Jets have been showing a little more fight recently, and the way the Falcons have been playing, they usually follow up good performances with awful performances. So I could see that happening at MetLife on Sunday. Okay, and then is this last one a 1 o'clock game as well? Cardinals
I
at
believe
Bucks.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, wow, a lot of 1 o'clock games this week. This is my favorite bet of the week. I like Tampa at -3 because there's no hook. Buccaneers have not been playing as well as they had earlier in the year, but with Baker Mayfield at the helm and with a bunch of winners, simply just put winners on their roster and Todd Bowles as coach, they're just due. They're due for a bounce back win. They just are. I feel like this is the perfect opportunity at home against the Cardinals team that has to travel, a team that plays indoors has to travel to the East Coast, play outdoors in the hot Tampa heat. I love the Buccaneers here at -3.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me because I think we're gonna probably see Teddy Bridgewater for the Tampa Bay. So um, it was better at 2.5. I like the number there, but I do like the Bucks at 3. Cardinals just haven't had a great year. They haven't figured out the defense, and yeah, whether it's Bridgewater or it's Baker, I do like the Bucks in this situation. They need to get back on track. This would be a good get right game for them against Jacoby Brissett. I've tried banging that drum with Brissett, and it just hasn't worked the past couple weeks. So, yeah, give me the Bucks at -3. We actually do have one more 1 o'clock
Oh
game
yeah,
here. It's
man. There's
Rams at going on the road to travel to Carolina with a 10.5 point spread. Uh, this is crazy. I mean, even how bad the Panthers played on Monday Night Football, 10.5 points at home. This is my dirty dog of the week. I'm taking the Panthers at plus 10.5. Look, I've said it before, and while the Rams might have done what they needed to do and get a big win at home and a pretty wide margin, they typically don't blow out a lot of teams. McVay is notorious for letting up on the gas late in games when they do have a lead, and I could see a backdoor cover by the Panthers here. Could even see this be a win for the Panthers with the Rams being one of the hottest teams, and everyone's going to be riding high, picking this team on this spread and probably on the money line. This could be a potential, just upset spot for the Panthers in this situation. I will take them at plus 10.5.
Yeah, I don't see that at all. Bryce Young is still terrible.
Oh,
I do agree. The backdoor cover is what scares me. And yes, I also this game was just a hair under the Jets Falcons in my stay away game because I just don't. I mean, I don't trust the Panthers against competent teams. But the Rams are coming off a huge win, traveling out east at 1 o'clock. So yeah, that 10.5 I don't like very much. But if I have to pick, I'm going to go with the Rams. Probably good that you pick the Panthers, just so one of us can get it right. But yeah,
sucks for the Panthers having to face Shanahan and McVay in back-to-back
yeah,
weeks. That's crazy.
yeah. But I mean, the Rams are the best team in the NFL to me right now,
Yep,
and
I would agree.
I think the Panthers are a team that you could face and still and expose even more when you're that good. And I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll cover one by 2 touchdowns, in my opinion. So Rams minus 10.5. Don't like, but that's what I'm going to go with. Okay. Evening games. There's only three. I don't know. Yes, weird schedule. And there's only three. Vikings at the Seahawks. Seahawks are 10.5 point favorites. Here, JJ McCarthy is not likely to play. So who is that? Who is starting for them now? What's his name?
It's like Max Bozeman or something like
Okay,
that.
yeah, and that's why Seahawks are going to cover minus 10.5.
Yeah, I've got Seahawks here too. Just uh, playing is especially the Sam Darnold spent on this, playing his former team who let him go, and I think he's going to want to run up the score on his former team. Um, God, my thoughts go straight to what are the Vikings front office and Kevin O'Connell thinking right now as they had put their trust in McCarthy, letting go of Sam Darnold, letting go of Daniel Jones, because remember they had him on the depth chart, and they're both having pretty incredible seasons up to this point. Um, Man, the McCarthy move, they're going to probably have to draft another quarterback because this has been one of the worst starts to a career for any quarterback that I've seen. I mean, I've seen stats where like he's coming in worse than Jamarcus Russell did when he came into the league.
I didn't like him out of Michigan. Like I just thought I couldn't judge if he was good or not because he was just surrounded by a whole bunch of talented guys, and that's why I didn't.
And that was the knock on him. And I trusted that he came from a winning organization, and with Michigan, I thought he was going to have a great career. But and look, he could turn it around, but this week he won't get that opportunity, and they might just keep him out for the rest of the year.
You also can't blame the Vikings for sticking with him because I mean they invested. I mean they invested that pick unless their analysis of him was just terrible. Then yeah they deserve all the blame. But I
A
mean
lot of this is on KOC for
yeah
this.
yeah exactly yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm going Seahawks. This could
Plus
get real ugly.
Seahawks are due for a big blowout now. lost to the Rams 2 weeks ago, and they kind of won ugly against the Titans. So
Let the Titans backdoor cover.
returning home against the depleted and struggling Vikings team. Yeah, I like the Seahawks there.
Yeah, and it could be a good matchup for the Vikings defense. This would be the one unit that could keep them in the game, going up against Darnold. But because they know Darnold, I mean they practiced with him for a whole year last season. But
Darnold
it's
also
not.
knows them.
Yeah, exactly. So give me the Seahawks too there, 10.5. All right. Bills at the Steelers. This one I think is still sitting at that 3.5. Still got the hook there in favor of the Bills. We get the Mike Tomlin home dog situation here, and I'll take it, and you're going to win this one more times than not, especially with the hook over a field goal. Just whoever's quarterback, I don't care. Give me the Tomlin home dog 3.5. Don't have to spend too much time on this one.
Yes, I love the hat. I love the hook. I agree, and I assumed you would take that. You would take that spin on it, and so I wrote other stuff. Bill's defense is just not very good. Like I could see like the Steelers with Jalen Warren and Gainwell. I could see them having nice games. Steelers are desperate too. I mean, they've lost the AFC North lead, coming off a loss, returning home. Yeah, I also really like the Steelers at plus 3.5.
And Allen hasn't played that well either. Like
No, he
it
hasn't
hasn't been.
played well. His
It's
O
just been.
line just got exposed against the Texans, and now who they're playing? Oh, TJ Watts.
It feels like quarterback play just hasn't been that great outside of Stafford and like Drake May. It feels like quarterback play just hasn't been
No, it hasn't.
up to par with most seasons. And
It makes you wonder.
Atkins
It makes
another
you
guy.
wonder if defenses have gained the advantage this year, which I think they have. To be
And say
honest.
what you want about the Steelers defense, they're you know they could show up, they could have a game like they did last week and give up over 30, but I would still just take the rah spot here with Tomlin at 3.5.
Mhm. Okay, Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers are minus 9.5. I really like this one too. I'm surprised it's not higher, if we're being honest, because Chargers have had 2 weeks to get that ugly taste out of their mouth from Jacksonville. They're playing a Raiders team that looks like they've given up on the season. They're at home, but I mean, if the Raiders are still faithful to their team, they'll pack that stadium, but I don't think it'll matter. Chargers beat them real bad last time they played at Vegas. So, yeah, give me the Chargers here at minus 9.5 to bounce back after a long break.
I think the Chargers could roll anybody out on defense. They're going to get to Geno Smith because that O line for the Raiders, I think, is worse than Cincy's. And it's going to be a problem. I think Herbert's going to have a really good game. He's going to feast on this Raider defense. Yeah, 9.5, like you said, I actually like it under 10 a lot. This was a potential lock of the week for me on the situation, but yeah, 9.5 Chargers, easy pick for me. All right, this will be the Sunday night football game. Broncos at the Commanders. This one's still sitting at 6.5 in favor of Denver. And this is a tough one because we still don't know the status of Jaden Daniels. I really want to be on Washington this week. Just it's at home, coming off a bye. It's a kind of it is under a touchdown, but it is a pretty big spread even for a Denver team that you know t- you never know if they're going to give up 30 plus like they did a couple of these games. You think of the Giants game where they had to mount a huge comeback. I could see this being an upset spot here for Denver. Under a touchdown, I'll go with Denver now just because I don't know the status of Daniels, but I don't love this one.
Yeah, Commanders have been awful these past few weeks. They've been losing by 20, I think. Haven't they lost by 20 in like 4 consecutive games or
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah.
Yeah, the NFL needs this one to be close because how this game didn't get flexed, I have no idea. These Commanders are what 3-8. I mean, yeah. I'm in agreement with you. I don't love this pick, but if it's under a touchdown, I'll go with the Broncos as well, minus 6.5. There's no traveling out east excuse because they're coming off of a bye week, so they've had plenty of time to rest. And yeah, Broncos are just the better team, so I'll take them at -6.5. And then Monday Night Football, the Patriots are once again playing another really tough team against the New York Giants. And the rule I always stick with, I mentioned it in the which game was that? 49ers Browns. Yep, I'm sticking with this rule. When a bad team plays well for a week, really well, they're going to bet. You're going to want to bet against them the next week. And 7.5. This this game reminds me a lot of the Jets Patriots game just a couple weeks ago. That was at New England, where it was like, yeah, it's kind of a touchdown lead the whole time, and the Patriots finally scored an extra one and covered the spread. And I like that here. I could see this being very like a touchdown size game, and then Patriots score at the end and then cover that 7.5. Winston usually doesn't. At this point in Winston's career, he usually doesn't have two great games in a row. Like we get why doesn't he start for all these teams? And then like we've already seen it. Oh, you put Winston on this team right now, they're better than they are. And then the next week he plays absolutely terrible, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's why he's not. So give me the Patriots -7.5 on Monday Night Football.
I mean, at some point, this Patriots team has got to lose, right? I mean,
yeah, but when they play a competent team, yes, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the hook here for the Giants. We could see Dart this week. That could be a factor in this one. But I think every game you do get the full Jameis Winston experience, and I think that could at least keep this close. And I am going to go the Giants here at +7.5. This could be one of those that I look back next week and be like, why didn't I just not think so hard on this? I just think at some point, under the bright lights of Monday Night Football, this could be a spot where Drake May has a letdown, and someone who may be more experienced than Jameis Winston. Say what you want about him. They're on a run here that I could see them at least covering this one. I don't think they'll win, but give me the Jameis Winston experience with this one at +7.5.
It really is amazing just how fortunate the Patriots got with their schedule this year. Like you can't blame them; they can only play who's in front of them. But so how the schedule works is like in the AFC, you play your whole division plays another whole division, and then they play one other team from each of the other two divisions. So the AFC East this year played the North, and which has been kind of weak this year. Well, arguably easily the weakest division in the AFC. And then you have in the other two divisions, the South and the West, you have three teams in each division who are fully in contention for a playoff spot, and then two teams that are just clearly at the bottom of the standings. And who do the Patriots play? Oh, they play the Titans and the Raiders this year. Who do they avoid playing? The Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Jaguars, and Texans. Avoiding playing all those teams. I mean, they really need to take advantage of this because, like they'll never. I don't think a team will ever have this kind of an easy schedule again.
I wonder if this hurts the Patriots in the long run, having a season like this with a bad schedule where they could have an overblown record that
overachieve, and then
right, and then next season
Yeah.
they have to play a first place schedule, and we see what this team really is. I just don't think they're that good, and that's why I'm taking the Giants here at +7.5.
Yeah, they're good. They're good, not great. They're good, not great. That's my opinion of them. If they had a normal schedule, I think they would be right about where the Chargers or the Jaguars, the Texans are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that is our weekly signature segment, the spreadsheet with our picks against the spread. We'll both look to bounce back on a positive note this week after a rough week last week. Let's move on to our campus corner. This is our college football portion of the podcast, and this is a big week. This is rivalry week in college football. This is Another reason that makes this week so great and one my favorite week of the year, with all the NFL football, with all the turkey and everything to do with Thanksgiving, this gets slotted in right there on Saturday to fill in the gap between the NFL dates. And we do have a lot of great Friday games as well. And this is just a week where you're going to get the Ohio State Michigan game. Texas A&M is back. Florida State. Say what you want about those teams. That still is always going to be a great game. It's been a rough year again for both sides. But when you think of this week, when it comes around, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, Michigan is going to be the big one because there's implications for both teams. Ohio State retain their number one spot, uh, get the Michigan bugaboo off their back, particularly Ryan Day. And for Michigan, it's playoff spots still alive. I mean, they have. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they beat Ohio State this week, they're fully probably in.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean they need some things to happen ahead of them as far as they have a chance at the Big Ten title game, if given a win against Ohio State. See what happens with Oregon and Indiana. But yeah, Ryan Day is 81-10 as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. But he's famously 0-4 against Michigan over the past 4 years. Last year was the most shocking one, obviously. It's going to hurt for a while, and hopefully that'll end this Saturday for the Buckeyes. But Ohio State's defense is first in FBS in points allowed, giving up just 7.6 per game. They're all, Michigan, with their Bryce Underwood at QB, we'll see what he can do against this defense. But I don't see how Ohio State comes out with a loss in this one. Just the way they've been playing all year. I know they've had a pretty easy schedule, but they've been blowing everyone out. And with this receiver core that we're hopefully getting all back for this game on Saturday, if Ryan Day just plays his game the way we played it all year, and we don't try to prove anything to this Michigan team in Ann Arbor, we win this one easily.
So I'm not going to say I've watched every Michigan game closely this year, but I did watch Purdue at Michigan closely this year. And let me just say, if that's how Bryce Underwood's looked all year, Ohio State should theoretically win by 60 because Purdue had multiple chances to win that game. So, yes, on paper, Ohio State should go in there and roll. But we know we know this game's unpredictable. You almost wonder if Michigan wins, if they would want to play in the Big Ten title game. If I were them, I'd probably just rather not play because
You think
I feel like
that would
you wouldn't want a third loss. You would have probably the best win of any team this year. You'd be a two-loss team with the best win. Yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't even want to play the Big Ten title game if I were Michigan. If they beat Ohio State, but I don't see that happening. I think Ohio State takes care of business. But yeah, that's the biggest one. I mean, Texas A&M, Texas could be interesting. Texas doesn't really have too much to play for, but they could play
there is implications, at least for Texas A&M. There's 4 teams in the SEC that have a shot to be in the SEC title game. Texas A&M, for them to get in, they need to beat Texas. Or if they lose, they need Ole Miss and Alabama to lose. For Alabama, they just need to beat Auburn, and they're good. For Georgia to get into the SEC title game, they'll need an Alabama loss or a Texas A&M loss. And then finally for Ole Miss, we'll get to them next with the Lane Kiffin stuff, but they'll need a win in the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State and Alabama and Texas A&M to lose. They're on the outskirts. They do not control their own destiny really at all. Yeah, are there any other big games that you're looking at? Maybe the old Oaken bucket between IU and Purdue?
No, I can already – I will tell you exactly how that game's going to go. It's going to be – IU's going to get off to a relatively slow start. Purdue is going to score in one of their first 2 opening drives. Mendoza is going to fumble it, or he's going to take a sack or throw a pick. And people will be like, oh, my, is this finally the time Indiana loses or Indiana plays bad? And then IU's defense does not give up another yard the rest of the game, and Mendoza throws 5 touchdowns, and the final score is like 49-10. that's how every IU game's gone this year. It's like the first quarter, you're like, oh, maybe this is the game where IU struggles, and then before you know it, their defense gives up like negative yards the rest of the game, and then their wide receivers like turn into Jamar Chase the rest of the game, and they win 50-10. So yeah, that's exactly how this game will go. Yeah, the old Oaken Bucket, the best rivalry in college football.
What's the best trophy? I like the Paul Bunyan axe. That's
Paul
probably my
Bunyan is
favorite.
yes. Paul, I would say Paul Bunyan.
Yep. All right. Let's close this thing out with the Lane Kiffin stuff. So he's most talked about coach. He's the most polarizing coach, I think, in college football, and I think he's great for college football. And he's got a big decision to make, and he better win on Friday because it could really determine what kind of contract he's going to get from possibly Florida, possibly LSU, maybe even staying at Ole Miss. I have a theory that he might actually stay at Ole Miss, and even though he's dragging this thing out because he's yet to publicly declare where he's going to work next season, let alone the rest of this season. But Ole Miss has kind of made some ultimatums with him. Keith Carter, the athletic directors, said that an announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game. That Egg Bowl, like I said before, against Mississippi State is this Friday. And where do you think he ends up going? Because I think there's a situation where he's actually leveraged the money to have Ole Miss pay him what he wants in comparison to what maybe LSU and Florida have offered him. But where do you think he ends up after all of this?
I like your theory. I do, but I think he's going to go south, straight south to Baton Rouge.
I mean, you said it was the best job out there, and I these are the two best on the market. But yeah, it's crazy how much he's dragged this out in the almost a way where I feel like he's going to sit down in front of an audience the way LeBron did when he made his decision.
He's going to pick up a hat, or he's going to
Right,
like
he's
recruit.
going
He's
to pick
going
a
to
hat like a
signing day.
recruit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he loses to Mississippi State, that could affect where he may go in this spot. But yeah, Lane Kiffin, I think he's great for football. I think he's great for college football. I don't know. I think he is building something here in Oxford with the Ole Miss Rebels. I don't know if I would leave that, but for an LSU job, yeah,
Money, money,
that's
money.
right. Right. He said it's not going to be money. It's not going to be a financially driven decision. I mean, he has made millions throughout his career at the college level, but yeah, money talks. And if LSU is going to get out of the buyout of Brian Kelly, then they might be able to offer substantially more than they could have previously. So yeah, that'll close things out for our campus corner. Let's get a final word in here. What's one thing to watch for next week? I mean, it could be anything. We got a lot of football to watch, but you mentioned some college basketball. We got the Players Era tournament going on. Could be not even sports related. What's one thing you're looking forward to this week?
Yeah, I mean, one thing just happened. Houston just went down. Tennessee beat number 3 Houston just now, so we already got some big upsets this week. But no, I mean, sports related. What's right? I think it goes on during the Lions Packers game, but it also might not. It might start right before it. But the Westminster Dog Show. I mean, you gotta. That's also good entertainment if you want to see the canines who can jog the best, who have the nicest teeth, who have the.
Will it be on during like the? Is there going to be any time in between the games on Turkey Day?
Yeah, that's a good point. Might just be might just have to turn the channel. You don't have to watch Terry Bradshaw the halftime show. You can just
There you go,
go
halftime.
see go see a golden retriever win. But yeah, that's a good. A lot of times the Lions have been historically bad. That game's usually the take a nap. If you're not, if you don't want to watch an intense game, you'd rather just chill. I would turn on the Westminster Dog Show.
Hey,
Be my
and
recommendation for you, and then
there's
take your turkey nap.
yeah. Hey, there's always going to be NBA games too. So NBC Prime Video. All right. That'll do it for us here at the KNL Sports Huddle. We'll be back next week with more picks against the spread, recap the NFL, and we'll see what else we got going for you guys. But thank you guys for rocking with us this week. We'll see y'all.